Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that will rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children that they're keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I wanted to do a quick lesson going into, which I'm not going to entitle this one. He is a big-time loser in his own kingdom, but it's along the same lines as that. Because usually when like I said, I was going to do like a series of that title, because it's just more and more and more stuff coming out on this man and woman, either my man and woman, about how this man is losing his kingdom and he's falling in his own kingdom, which symbolize or signifies the curses coming more and more on their people and coming off of our people, but more so it's getting more and more on their people. So in this article, which I'm gonna pull it up on here and then I'm gonna pull it up on Google, it says kindergarten teacher who identified as trans wolf wore collar and tail, fired after parents raised alarm. So, and it's an Edomite. First and foremost, it's an Edomite. They don't even show a picture. I was trying to look up a picture, couldn't find no picture. I might try again, just to see if they show a picture. But this is an Edomite. It says a North Carolina kindergarten substitute teacher who allegedly identified as a trans wolf and wore a collar and tail in class has been fired after parents raised concerns. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth confirmed the dismissal following complaints from military families. So it's even got to the point to where it's affecting people in the military and their children. But again, these are Edomites. This is a very Edomite thing to do. This is a very Edomite thing to do. And how they always put stereotypes. That's another curse. They'll stereotype Jake with this and that and third. Well, those stereotypes, especially what they used to say about our people, it wasn't true until they set the situation up for it to be true. Our people didn't fit the stereotypes because Esau really does a lot of projecting. But until he set the society up, the culture up, he manipulated our people into becoming the very thing that he projected them to be. But in actuality, when we read this and something like this, and we say it's Edomites or the so-called white man, there is no projecting. This is a very Edomite thing to do. I guarantee you, if anybody read this that's in the world or that doesn't know about the truth, the first thing that they're going to think about what they say when they read this is some white man. I guarantee you, because our people don't do stuff like this. Now our people will do stuff like this because our people are heavily influenced by demons. Being over here in Babylon the Great, our people are wicked. I'm not saying that Jake or any other tribes wouldn't do something like this, but naturally, if we was in our natural state, we wouldn't do this. If Esau man in his natural state would do this, so this is how we know. It said Hegseth wrote on X, which is formerly Twitter, that the teacher whom he referred to as the wolf has been dismissed weeks earlier. His post mounting scrutiny from parents whose children attended Mildred B. Poole's elementary school at Fort Bragg. Military families began voicing concerns in early 2025 about the teacher's behavior around young students, according to TND. Parents said the substitute teacher, who worked with kindergarten and pre-K classes, sometimes wore women's clothing along with a dog collar and an animal tail while at school. Several families contacted the legal advocacy. And another note, for it to get up to Pete Hegseth, it had to be Edomites, because they wouldn't give a damn about Jake. It says several families contacted the legal advocacy group Liberty Counsel, which later sent a formal complaint to the Department of Defense Education Activity, which oversees the school system serving military bases. The group argued that administrators had failed to respond adequately to repeated parental complaints. I'm gonna jump down. It says one parent reported that her daughter came home frightened and said, "Mommy, I'm scared he's going to come eat me." After hearing the teacher make such claims. And it's funny, I'm laughing because these Edomites are starting to see how it feels being tortured and tormented, because they've been doing this to our people all this time without any type of retribution. But the Lord said vengeance is his. He gonna repay. And this is a part of the Lord repaying. And I get that as a precept real quick. Vengeance, which it might, let me see. He will repay. I might get that Sirach 35 as well. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just read a couple of these. Yeah, I'm gonna read a couple of these. This is Deuteronomy 7 and 10. Well, you gotta get 9. Well, no. Let me get 9. This is Deuteronomy 7, 9, and 10. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is power, the faithful power, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, ultimately the elect of the nation of Israel, and repayeth them that hated him to their face to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hated him. He will repay him to his face. Ultimately, these other nations, primarily Esau, Edom, and 2/3 of our people get caught up in that as well. Now, let's get this too. Isaiah 59 and 18. According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay. Fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies, to the islands he will repay recompense. And a part of the recompense is the curses. And I'm gonna get Deuteronomy 28 in just a minute. Romans 12 and 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. And that's what, also too, I think it's Isaiah 47. The Lord said he ain't gonna meet you as a man. So ultimately, when he come back, he gonna come back in an angelic force. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which I can get it real quick, I believe that's also the chapter that he said vengeance is his. Well, I will take vengeance. This is Isaiah 47 and 3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yeah, thy shame shall be seen. And this is what the Lord is doing, exposing these people for how wicked they really are. These Edomites, how immoral they really are. That's why he said it shall be seen. And it's being exposed from the top elites all the way down to you low-level Edomites. All of them are being exposed. Men and women. A lot of Edomites, especially a lot of Edomite women, are ashamed to even be associated with Edomite men. This is how you know their kingdom is falling too. Elder Apostle Tahar has always said, when a nation loses their women, you know that that nation has lost power. He said something along those lines. If you lost your women, basically you lost your power. Especially, if you the top ruling nation, especially, you've lost your kingdom. So this is what we're seeing. Even a lot of Edomite women, they want the Israelite man, starting with the so-called black man. So, and you can see why. You got a lot of Edomite men doing stuff like that. So it says, I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. So let's get some of them other ones. 2nd Ezra 15:20. Behold, saith the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, the king, all the other kingdoms, which are from the rising of the sun, the east, from the south, from the it's from the west, Salakia, the west. The sun rises it rises in the east, sets in the west. From the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Labanus, to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them. So the Lord said, look, around the four corners of the earth, around the whole world, I'm going to gather all these nations and get them ready to be destroyed. And in that process, they're going to have turmoil and chaos in their own countries to repay all the things that's been done unto the Israelites, because we've been scattered around the four corners of the earth, and these curses have followed us, and these other nations have mistreated the Lord's chosen people. All this time we've been in their hands. Now it's time for them to repay. Jeremiah chapter 30. This is Sirach 12:6. For the Most High hateth sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment. Sirach 29:5. Till he have received, he will kiss a man's Sirach 35:18. The Lord will not be slack, neither will the mighty be patient toward them, till he have smitten in sunder the loins of the unmerciful, and repaid vengeance to the heathen, till he have taken away the multitude of the proud, and broken the sceptre of the unrighteousness. So the Lord said he's not going to be slack. He's not going to continue to delay and wait, for now he's finna to act, So let's get more into it. Another parent said their child reported that the teacher told students he was actually a woman who likes boys. Families also alleged that the teacher used various alternative names in the classroom, including Roxanne Wildheart, Captain Roxy, and Lilith Deathhowl. So yeah, now let me pull it up on Google because it actually got comments on here too. Let's see. So it says, pulled it up on Google. It says, this sounds like, this from somebody named Franklin Graham. This sounds like a nightmare, not kindergarten. A teacher who identifies as a trans wolf, telling students he turns into a wolf at night, his fetish animal, directing them to howl like wolves, requiring students to address him by inaccurate female names and pronouns, and telling children he is actually a woman who likes boys. No wonder children are frightened and parents are outraged. I would be too. In my opinion, this person is mentally ill. Keep that in mind. They say mentally ill. Thankfully, he has now been fired and removed from classrooms. Let's pray for these children who has been exposed to so much. But what about the Israelite children? What about the Israelites who have been exposed to so much after coming through hardcore slavery? Hardcore slavery, and those Israelite children grew up in those environments, and that trauma stuck with our people all the way to this day. And everything that our people have endured for all these hundreds and hundreds of years. Nobody else was praying for us. Nobody else was concerned about us. Nobody's going to be concerned about you. It says, and these are some of the comments, let's also pray for the teacher and his salvation. We praying. We ain't praying for him. We praying against him. We praying against all you Edomites, praying against y'all downfall. This is what we praying for, because this signifies the downfall of a kingdom. These are all symptoms of a failing kingdom, a kingdom that's on its way out. There is no salvation for the Edomites. It says children deserve classrooms where they feel safe, supported, and protected. Well, our Israelite children didn't have that. You had Edomites constantly threatening, and not even just threatening, they burned schools down, was, killing our people, killing the Israelite children, And I'm just speaking on the southern kingdom, the so-called black. I'm not even speaking on what they did to the northern kingdom, to the Gadites, to the so-called Latinos, Hispanics, which what they call Taino Indians, so-called Puerto Ricans. We not even speaking on that, But now that it's affecting them, now it's a problem. It says when something crosses that line, removal is the right step. But you Edomites been crossed the line. You crossed the line hundreds and hundreds of years. Matter of fact, thousands of years ago, if we want to be honest. You crossed that line all the way back in the garden. But if you just want to use modern day time, you been crossed that line. And your own words say removal is the right step. That's what the Lord is doing. That's justice. That's righteous justice. You said it right, but you didn't account for the things that your people already done to the Israelites. It says, praying that every child involved finds comfort, clarity, and healing as adults work to restore trust and stability around them. Good luck with that. Now, it says, nightmare are made of this. So thankful I don't have children in school. I pray for those who do. Somebody said this person needs a lot of prayers, and trust me, we working on our end to make sure that this place falls. It's a lot of prayers being sent up every day. No need to worry about that. Let's see. Somebody said praying for the kids and their families. Well, it says, wow, I am old and I remember weirdo teachers. Just have to teach them the right things at home before they are exposed to it. Yeah, and again, good luck with that. You got so many avenues against you. Social media, these weirdo, what's it called? TV shows, things that, because you talking about kindergartens and pre-K or preschoolers or young children, they watching TV, watching shows on tablets and different, computers, whatever the case may be. So you're not going to sit there and watch it with them, You're gonna put it on or let them watch it and go on about your day. Somebody said, I pray for our country. Oh no, somebody said, I pray daily for our president and country. Well, trust me, he not concerned with you. He's not concerned with you. That's why he's moving the way he's doing. So let's see. And notice how it's a lot of Edomites. That's why I said this is an Edomite. It's nothing but Edomites on these pictures. So, anyways, let's get to the scriptures. This is Deuteronomy 28:28. The Lord shall smite thee with before I get that, actually, Deuteronomy 30:7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And this is what the Lord is doing. He's putting all these curses on our enemies. And we're starting to see these curses manifest on our enemies in real time. This is what we witnessed. Now, going back to Deuteronomy 28:28, the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And this is what in the AMP it says, the Lord will strike you with madness and with blindness and bewilderment of heart and mind. And I got that same verse in the I had it in ChatGPT. I gotta type it in again. Hopefully give me the same explanation. So it got the scripture again. The Lord will strike you with madness and blindness and confusion of mind. That's in the ESV. It says the context, this verse appears in a long section, Deuteronomy 28, where Moses outlines blessings for obedience, verses 1-14, and curses for disobedience, 15-68, as Israel prepares to enter the promised land. Verse 28 is part of the curses that will come if Israel broke the covenant of the Most High, which we did. Meaning of the three terms. Madness refers to mental instability or irrational behavior. And that's what people said. This person is mental illness. That's what they said. And our people have experienced this for generations. Now you Edomites are experiencing it in real time, and it ain't gonna stop here. It's only gonna get worse. It says, in context, it implies panic, fear, and psychological distress brought on by national crisis, blindness, likely both physical and metaphorical. It can mean literal loss of sight, but more often symbolizes an inability to perceive truth, make wise decisions, or understand what is happening. Confusion of mind suggests mental disorientation, poor judgment, and inability to think clearly. The Hebrew idea includes bewilderment and helplessness. Now it says theological significance, covenant consequences. The verse reflects the covenant structure common on the ancient Near East. Obedience brings blessing, rebellion brings judgment. And this place, Babylon the Great, has been rebellious against Yahweh by Hashem Shah. It said its wickedness has mounted up to the heavens. That's both literal, with them putting space stations and space weapons out in the outer atmosphere, but also too, it just goes to show you how much wicked this place has been. The scriptures say the earth is exceedingly polluted in 2nd Ezra 15. The earth is exceedingly polluted, and we just seeing the central hub of wickedness act in real time, which is America. National judgment. These conditions are described as consequences affecting the nation, especially during invasion, oppression, or exile, which is captivity. So it says national judgment. The Lord ain't just doing this for no individual people. He ain't singling out people, because he didn't single out Israelites to go through the curses and the rest of them receive the blessings. He judged us as a whole. So the same thing is going to happen with the Edomites and the rest of the nations, being judged as a whole. Spiritual dimension. Many interpreters see this not merely as psychological illness, but also spiritual disorientation resulting from turning away from the Most High. Now it says broader biblical connection. Similar language appears later when prophets describe Israel's exile or captivity. For example, in book of Jeremiah and book of Isaiah, where confusion and blindness symbolizes spiritual rebellion and divine judgment. That's what's coming to Babylon the Great. So, and last time it had said all this, it said it in a better way. But, it still got a good point. It went straight into the point. So, I'm going to end it there. And Lord willing is edifying. So on that note, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Dash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. And until next time, shalom.